That works for me. So what I would do
Okay.
right now is, yeah, feel free to go or wait.
Okay, cool.
Go.
So this is Guestroom 13, I think. And we've got none other than Riccardo Vandra from Italy with us, the automation expert. And today we're going to talk about like Claude Code and how it relates to go-to-market engineering. And I'm going to hand it off to Riccardo. He's going to handle like all of this call. And I'm really, really excited for it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rudan. That's super
Hi
good
guys,
to be here.
Hi, Hannah.
Hello.
long time
Uh,
no see. Sorry, I missed a couple.
No worries. You're not allowed anymore because you've missed so many. I'm just kidding. All right.
let
So
me
what were you saying, Ricardo?
Yeah. So I was saying like thank you so much. What I was thinking for today and like what is the topic for today for me is I want to talk about Cloud Code as a business operating system, and I prepared a little bit of a presentation. So my idea today is we go through a 20-minute presentation, something quick, something fast, just to be up to speed on a couple of key concepts which are important, and then after that we can have a QA, question and answers, or like we can try to build stuff live. That would be my focus personally for the conversation and the idea that I have. So if you want, I can get started and I can share the screen right now and can go through that second.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Okay.
Wesley is saying your volume is very low.
Oh wait, let me try to fix this. Need to be very
Mine too. I can
careful.
barely hear him.
I need to be very careful with the microphone, otherwise, how it is right now.
Is that better, guys?
A little bit better, but it's still low.
Oh, wait.
And it's definitely on
Okay,
Ricardo's side. He seems fine to me.
okay. Is it on my side?
Yeah, because it like I can hear Ruadan, but I have a hard time to hear you. I don't know why. It's like for me it's
Uh,
the same. It's volume is
Okay,
I
and
just
it's a,
adjusted. Yeah, just adjusted the settings of the
okay. It's better
microphone.
now.
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Hope that
Wesley,
doesn't cause.
that better?
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay, great stuff. So, yeah, like the idea that I have for today is I want to talk about this concept about like how you can think about Cloud Code as a business operating system. And so, my idea for our conversation today is to propose you this new way of thinking that is not just focused on treating Cloud Code as a building tool, but also as a tool that you could potentially use to run your whole business in whichever kind of business that you are in. So I guess one of the biggest problem with Cloud Code is mostly a perception problem. Essentially, the reason for that is that there are three main problems that a lot of people have when actually
Sorry,
thinking about Cloud Code. Yeah,
sorry,
man.
Ricardo. Now, Anna James is saying she still can't hear you.
Okay, let me try to fix this in this way.
Didn't mean to
Uh,
cut you off.
So if I jump on the headphones, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, that's better. Even I can hear the difference
Okay.
there.
Okay, that's better. I had only this problem with Zoom, I think. Don't know why, but let me.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
So
did you guys catch any of the beginning of that? Would you like Ricardo to start over, or do you want him
yeah,
to
yeah,
keep
yeah,
going where he
yeah.
was?
Yeah,
Okay.
no worries. I can get started. I can go over here. So yeah, as I mentioned, the goal for this conversation is how to treat Cloud Code as a business operating system. And so, right now, a lot of people use Cloud Code for building, whether that is like internal tooling or different one-off automations, different things like that. But I think there is way more underneath that you can start thinking about for the tool itself. And so that is our focus for this presentation over here. So the main problem that we have over here is mostly focused on three main things, which is mostly perception problems. So the first off is code in the name. So generally, if you have code in the name, you scare away a lot of people because they think okay, this is something for developers. I'm not a developer. I cannot work with that. And this is not true because for myself, I write in plain English in Claude Code, and I can use that normally for business purposes. The other problem is that you need a terminal. A lot of people look at the terminal window and they are scared about that. And so we will see how we can actually not use a terminal window, but use an interface that looks more like ChatGPT. And then the last thing is that they think about it as a vibe coding tool. So you use Claude Code and you start building an app or building an automation or building whatever it is. But instead, that is just a fraction of what the tool actually does. So yeah, my focus for today is to focus on these two things, making it less scary for you, and then how you can start thinking about it as Claude Code as a business operating system. So in order to think about that as a business operating system, I think it's important to start thinking of the concept of an AI workspace. So for me, I call an AI workspace something, a single space where you can do all the work together with AI yourself. So this is generally something that is composed of 3 different components. So on one side, you would have one component, which is business context. So any kind of files, any kind of documents that explain a little bit more about your business itself. So those could be the type of clients that you have, the type of offers that you have, the tone of voice that you use when you need to create any kind of content, all these different context element over here. The second thing is related to processes. So those could be processes that you run for your business. So any kind of things such as how do you build a lead list? How do you monitor your email infrastructure, creating reports? All these different processes are things that you do within your business in a generally repeatable way. And if you are able to map those out in text format, the AI can follow those indications and could use those indications. And then the last thing, it's more about like the client structure. So you have to start thinking about how you can organize different folders into different clients and have different files for different clients. Now, all of this, it's beautiful, but to explain an AI workspace in simple terms, this is just a set of files and folders that is present in your computer. The files are generally markdown files. So markdown files are actually text files. And then you could also have different other files, which could be script files, which are running any kind of code generally. So to show you an example of what a structure of, for example, a go-to-market agency would look like in this file format, essentially what you have over here at the top is you would have the folder about your business. Then you would have like the Claude.md, which is essentially the system file that defines the main instruction that the AI uses in every single conversation. And so this is something related to explaining that this is the space where you do the bulk of your work and how you generally do the different steps of your work. Within this part, there are 3 main folders that I generally suggest people to use in a workspace. The first one is the .claude folder, which is a configuration folder. So anything that is related to Claude Code itself, any kind of features that is related to Claude Code itself will go within this specific folder. And so over here, I mentioned 2 specific things, which are skills, which are repeatable processes, and then commands, which are actions that you can invoke quickly with a single text. And so this is the configuration part. Then, as I mentioned before, you would have the context itself. So the context is about like your business knowledge, the different things that are needed for your specific business. And then you would have the workspace itself, which is essentially where the work happens. So over here, you could have like the different clients. You could have a context about a specific client. You could have the ICP of a client. You could have the campaigns folder of a specific client. You could have the reports folder where you store different reports for a specific client and things of that nature. Now, the most important thing over here are these two elements, the skills and the commands. So when I speak about the skills, essentially the idea is you teach the system once, and then the system will run this forever. So a skill essentially is a safe process that the AI can run on demand. So here I wrote two simple examples. One could be an outbound report. So what you generally do with a lot of clients could be you need to create an outbound report every single week. And so in order to do that, what you probably do is you go to the sending platform of sort, you extract the data, you put the data into a PowerPoint presentation, and then you need to gather some insights or extract some insights, and then you send that up to the client, or you discuss that with the client during a call. So this could be an example of repeatable process that you could have. Or another thing, which is like a proposal builder, an example. So if you have a specific way in which you build the proposal, a specific way in which you price the proposal, that can be created as a set of documents, and that can be used as a skill. The other component here is that another thing that I forgot to mention is that skill could be divided in two types. So you could have one-shot skills. So you could have something like build me a proposal based on this conversation, based on a Fireflies conversation, or based on the details that you would give about a specific conversation. And that would do the proposal building in one shot, for example. Or the real beauty for me about like this kind of system is that you can have a step-by-step process where you add your input over here. And we will see an example of this when it comes to list building, for example. So that is it when it comes to skill. The other aspect here is commands. So you can think about commands as prompts that you can call one single time. And those essentially are slash commands that are saved as prompt and triggered by name. So here I created a couple of examples. One could be if you type /morning to this tool, you could have a daily briefing about what are the specific campaigns that need your attention, what are the clients that are running low on prospects, what happened yesterday, all this different information you can have in the morning as soon as you set up the specific prompt in that way. Another thing here could be like if you need to work within a specific client, you want to load the context of the client so that you can do the specific work, which could be analyzing the copy in order to improve the campaign, or understanding more about different problems that the client might have. And another one in this example could be like creating a new campaign or spinning up a new campaign. And the system could ask you questions, and it creates the full campaign structure, essentially. So those are just a couple of ideas. And as I mentioned here, one beautiful thing about this is you say, you essentially say, do the thing. So like do the daily briefing or load the client context or whatever. And the system knows actually how to do that for your specific business, because you have like the context file that are created that are based on your specific business, your specific thing. So this was just a layer of understanding. Then I will show you an example directly into Claude Code. But what I want to show you right now is a simple step-by-step process that you can follow to set up this AI workspace for you. So this is just a set of instructions that you can use. The set of instructions here is you can install Visual Studio Code, you can install Claude Code directly, you can create a folder within your computer, open that within Visual Studio Code, and then add an extension. And then at the end, what you will have is you will have something that will look similar to this. Let me show you that in a second. similar to this system over here, where do you still see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Riccardo, I think it might be helpful, and you might be doing this later on, but if you can show people exactly like which link to go to for Claude Code, which plan. I've got a lot of people asking me generally, like they find the pricing quite confusing. I think that would be helpful as well.
Yeah. So to give you context on this specific thing about like Claude Code and planning and different parts related to that. As I mentioned over here, VS Code essentially was a tool used by programmer to do coding. So like this is effectively what is called as a IDE, which means integrated development environment. And that is the tool that we use. For Claude Code, what you can do is you can go directly into Claude Code, search that within Google, and then you will find this one. And then over here, you will have how you can actually install this. So it will have one single command that you need to use for your terminal. So this is the only part where actually a terminal is actually needed. So the way this needs to be run is essentially you copy this and then you go to your terminal. So let me share the desktop once more, and you open the terminal itself. And I think on macOS this is called terminal. On Windows this is called like Windows PowerShell. And then you copy this command and press enter. And this is the only time you will see the terminal if we follow this specific system. So the end goal that it would have, it would look something similar to this, where on this side, what you have is you have a file system similar to what you would have in Finder or File Explorer, where those are actually the folders that you have within your system itself. And so like those are the different folders with like the skills, the commands, and then like on my side, I also have a bunch of other additional stuff. And then on this part over here, you will have Claude Code and you will work directly within Claude Code. So in this actual way, what you can do is you will have a beautiful interface to work on that doesn't need to be the terminal-like interface that you generally use. So if I write over here, what's the capital France, just to something simple, what we have is a simple interface where all the information will be passed directly over here. So yeah, this is a little bit of understanding of the setup itself. Now, when it comes to the other parts, what I wanted to show you is I wanted to show you an example of a skill and commands working together. And so I wanted to show you an example of what this would look like for a like outreach process, for example. So within the workspace that I was showing you over here, what I can do is I can have within Claude a skill that is called list building. And this list building essentially is the full process about how you can actually build a list. This is composed of a bunch of different topics, a bunch of different ways in which this can be done. And so essentially this is something built with different modules over here. So modules are just text files that explain a specific process, such as this is how you enrich the emails. This is how you clean the emails. This is how you enrich the information. And this is like the structure of a skill. But let me show you an example directly over here of like or how this would work. So in my system here, I have something that is called a outreach command.
that I could run. So if I run this specific command, what is happening over here is, let me make this bigger. The outreach command will ask me for some information over here. So for example, what are the people that I'm reaching? So let's say that I'm reaching to SaaS founders, or let's say that I'm reaching to any kind of people that I need to reach. What is the document related to a possible offer, or an offer that I would have? What is the campaign name that I would have, and what is the number of leads that I want to have? So what we will do is, in this case, we will run what is mentioned over here. So let's run this as an example. So it will search for marketing agency founders in US. It will use this document over here that I have for myself, which is a AI workspace document. And then the maximum amount of leads that I would search for is 100. So this system over here will actually run through a step-by-step process. So first off, it will find the leads. So in this case, I got this connected to Prospeo, where it will look within Prospeo, it will look within the Prospeo industry, which are the specific industry. It will read the document related to the offer itself, and then it's also able to fix itself when there are some errors related to this. So in this case, there was an error by running this specific code, but the system was able to go forward with this. It went over here, it started to create a folder for the outreach. Then it started to run the research within Prospeo, for example. And then here he found 100 leads within Prospeo itself, then started enriching the leads. Those leads were enriched. And then, the system is currently enriching everything and giving back the full list. So within here, I can go into outreach, into an outreach folder, and then here I would have the list of saved leads within the system itself. So right now, Prospeo is searching for additional leads, excluding the first batch because those were already saved, and it will go forward with the actual finding the specific people that I want to have. After this part, what we have at the beginning was a 3-step. So the first one is find. So this is this search and enrich part. The second is write. So the write essentially creates an email sequence based on the offer doc that I gave. And in this case, the copywriting isn't the best in the world, but you can spend a little bit more time in improving this over time, so that it would reflect the way you would create the copy for your clients. So right now the system went through and started to do the writing. And what it does right now is writing a full campaign sequence. So it's taking a couple seconds. So all these tools are not instant, so they take a little bit of time in running. But in this instance, the system actually creating a campaign sequence that we could have and we can review. So within the campaign sequence, we have the campaign overview, we have the sending schedule, and then we will have a couple of examples of emails. Right now, those emails are not perfect, but already there's something spin tags already added. There is an example of what would be the first email. So a first name, I notice company name is in marketing service, which reminded me of a pattern with agency partners your side. Every new client miss more of your time, I can help about what's time to figure it out. So I build AI operating systems for agency. Would that be useful? So as you can see, like general copy, so like not perfect, but this is because it's based on a generic example over here of what copy would look like. And so that is why. But essentially, what we can have in in this phase is we write the full campaign, and then we can review that, and then possibly also what we can do is we can push this to the campaign tool that we use. So in this case, like I use SmartLead, and so I can push this to SmartLead and add the leads directly to SmartLead if I wanted to. Or for example, what I can do here is I can regenerate the campaign, for example, and say, I don't like the angle that you used. Let's use something different, more focused on how they can get, how they can improve profits, for example. And so this is like how you would prompt that. Obviously, right now, this is just an example, but I can run this command and then the system will recreate the campaign based on the different kind of angle, and then will propose me again to push the campaign to SmartLead and run that to SmartLead. So yeah, this is like a general idea of what a skill, what a command plus a skill could look like for go-to-market, for example.
So while this is running, Riccardo,
sorry,
I'm just seeing a few questions, and I have a few questions of my own. So first of all, for everyone asking, there is going to be a recording of this call, and it's going to be live on YouTube. I'm not sure when it's going to be published, but it will be published at some stage. And Riccardo, I assume you can share some of the resources that you've been showing in this call, can you?
Yeah. So like one thing related to this, I prepared for this call 2 things for you. One is an example of a workspace, so an example of a workspace similar to what I have over here, so that you can start from a basis. And then another thing that I have as well is a productivity suite. So you can connect Claude Code to your Gmail, your Fireflies, all your different tools, and that is already a good basis so that you can start with.
And then for Claude Code, so you showed how to download it.
Yep.
Do people just use their API? Do they need a certain plan on a Claude? How does that work?
So, like you can choose whichever plan you want. Personally, I run the max plan, which is the $100 per month plan.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I would say that I think that using the $20 per month plan is a little bit limiting. But for me, what I can see over here is that if you think about spending the $100 in terms of this is potentially the cost of an employee running on your computer, then like the cost is the ROI that you can get on this is insane, really. So that is
now. So when you're building all of these things, so there's one big question loads of people are asking this more or less. How do you go about, or where would you recommend building all of these skill files and these MD files? And how would you recommend, do you do that within Claude Code and let it help you build it? Do you build that elsewhere and then plug it into the system? How do you go about doing that?
So within one of the tools that I left for you within the productivity suite, what we have is something that is called a meta builder. So a meta builder is essentially a tool that would help you build the skills, the slash commands, and the agents for Claude Code itself. So what you can do within Claude Code could be something like, hey, I'd like to build a skill for, I don't know, give me one random email infrastructure monitoring. Let's use the meta skill, and ask me as many questions to understand what is my main use case. So
And would you
this
still
could be
recommend doing that here, even if it gets more expensive with credit usage and stuff, or would it be better trying to think through this elsewhere?
what do you mean?
Like I've spoken to a few people who've recommended finishing the overall setup in Claude Code and getting it to kind of format everything in a specified format, but to do a lot of the logic and the brainstorming, unless it's something that you already know off the top of your head and you just need to get it on paper, they recommend doing that elsewhere, like in, for example, just a standard ChatGPT session or conversation
Yeah.
or somewhere else because it's cheaper.
Like if you want to do that, like definitely. For me, I think that if you are even on the $100 plan, you can run pretty much all day without having like the limits which are reset every 5 hours. So like personally, I don't use any other tool because for me it's better to have everything within here because the tool has context on my business and like if I'm working within this tool, I can also build a compounding knowledge over time. And so if, for example, I get started with building like list building and or no, let's do an example for copywriting. If I get started with copywriting and then I have examples of what could be good example of copy that I could use, I could add those within the system itself, and the system would be able to reference those in the future when creating different emails. So I could say something like, here are 10 different examples of copy that is proven to work. Choose one of those as a reference when creating the copy for a campaign and use that. So yeah, for me, like if you work within here, it's compounding. That is like the thing. Even if you do the planning, because like it can understand what you already have and what you don't.
Okay, that is really helpful. I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'm going to let you continue because I understand I've just interrupted you. But with regards to troubleshooting, so when you were running that, for example, when you were scraping the list, one problem that I would imagine would happen at some stage, especially if you're an agency doing this for several clients, is that if something does go wrong because you've set up your skills incorrectly for whatever reason, because you had limited scope or whatever else, how do you then go about figuring out why it didn't work? Or if it did work, like you got data, but it wasn't exactly what you needed? Are there cases where it is better to use tools where you actually have to build everything step by step as opposed to giving it a general framework and letting it build it? Because you do lose some visibility, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Like the problem about visibility is actually one of the biggest problems when it comes to Claude Code and actually using that, because like you have a tool which is really, really powerful, but you lose on having an understanding of like on a visual level what that would actually look like for you. So like one thing that I do for myself in order to simplify this is I ask the system to build me graphics that I can look at that would help me understand the process a little bit more. So that is that. I feel like if we do comparison between something like a Claude Code and an N8N, N8N is way better, especially when it comes to visibility, because you are able to visualize everything within the platform itself. You don't have any problem in troubleshooting, like and understanding different things if you are on the generally non-technical level. Meanwhile, within Claude Code, you will need to check for a process, check for the results for a process, and then say something along the lines of, help me understand why the process didn't work or why a script broke or something along those lines, and try to fix that in that way.
Okay,
so this is one thing.
It.
Yeah.
Like there's more steps involved.
It's not there are more steps. It's just that you need to understand what you can just say, okay, help me fix this, and the system will help you fix this. But obviously, you also need to understand a little bit on what would be the actual problems that it would have.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and and the other thing about like if we compare like Claude Code and Anyden is that Anyden, for example, doesn't have problems when it comes to running stuff for you even when you sleep. Even because like he has like webhooks, he has cron jobs, which are things that are actually running on a server outside of your computer. Meanwhile, over here, if you're running stuff within Claude Code, generally, at least this specific thing is you need to be in front of your computer and you need to run the specific processes yourself. Even though obviously there are more advanced ways in which you can let like a server actually handle all these different things. But yeah, it's more on the advanced side, I would say.
Okay, that actually introduces another question, but I'll ask that at the end.
Okay.
I'm conscious I want to let you continue doing what you were doing.
Okay. So like I haven't like if you want, like we can go through this specific thing. When I was thinking about the presentation, I had a couple more additional slides on my side, but it's mostly about how you can think about like Claude Code and Clay, for example, which I think would be a general reference. But instead, like we can focus on this specific thing, and we can focus on like this tool, for example. So,
what do people think? What do people want? Put up your hand if you want the slides on Clay versus Claude Code. Okay, I see one hand. If you wouldn't mind going through those slides, even just quickly, I think it would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Let me do the switching here. Okay. Do you still see the screen? Okay. So yeah, like an important thing over here for me to think about like Claude Code and Clay is that those are two very different tools. So for me, like the way I would use this personally for a lot of things is that you can think about using Claude Code for any kind of thinking work, and then you can think about using Clay for more of the execution and the scaling part. The reason for that is that if you use something like Claude Code for like the things that you would do within Clay, especially when you have thousands of leads, you will need to build the actual system that would be capable of doing that. And that is like an engineering feat in and of itself. So I think the best approach over here is for any kind of work where you need to do thinking, it makes sense to use Claude Code. And then especially if you already have playbooks, if you already have templates built within Clay, you can use the Clay engine for any execution and scaling, especially of different GTM plays when you have a lot of volumes over there. This is not to say that you could potentially build the same stuff, but obviously it all comes down to opportunity cost, because like it would take you a lot of time to actually build something that would be as reliable as Clay. And I'll tell you this because I tried to do that in the past. This is what I have over here. Let me know. Let me know if there are any specific questions or any specific things. I will change. Either.
Can I ask? Yeah, I'm wondering, is like when it comes to preset already skills or commands that you will recommend that one could go and just get them? Are there available that you will recommend them that you think might be useful?
So do you ask me if there are any resources or specific commands which are actually useful? Okay, so personally, if you need to think about using those as a business for your specific processes, I think it would be worth it to actually build those yourself. But if you need to build the skills for any kind of process, which is something that maybe a lot of other people might have, such as like looking at Gmails, looking at Slack, looking at ClickUp, something like that, you could rely to other tools. So a famous one is skills.sh, which has like a list of different skills that you can look at. So over here, there are also things such as like how you build PowerPoint presentations, or how you like, this is an example of like how you analyze a pricing page, for example, and and different things like that. But I feel like the best thing is always if you think about the process on your side, and then like you build that for you. Yeah, and the thing that I was thinking about as well is what I have over here is that, like, for example, I have a productivity suite that I wanted to give for you. Within this productivity suite, there are a set of specific skills that you could use like for your business. Those are like general skills, so it makes sense to have something like that. So this for me is something that I use on a daily basis, because I know if I need to check my emails and respond to a person, I use the Gmail skill to do that. Or if I need to look at the YouTube video and get the transcript because I want to implement the things that are mentioned over here, I have this like video extract skill, for example. Or if I need to create a PDF or like look at a sales transcript and analyze the call, I have the Firefly skills over here. So yeah, like this is something that I will share also in the presentation. Those are like meta skills for me. But then like over time, you can also think about different kind of skills that you can build for yourself specifically. So yeah.
Riccardo, I think it would be helpful if you could provide either a resource or go through it quickly now, kind of at a high level, what GitHub actually is, and then how people can use that in their Claude Code so that they can keep things live and kind of up to date.
Sorry?
Git, so you know the way you just you showed us the productivity suite on Git?
Yep.
Do you recommend that everyone, when they're installing this, actually sets up their own Git account, and then how to use it with Claude Code?
So, this is, I would say, this is not fundamental to get started with. This is not like this is not like super fundamental, especially if you are a non-technical user at the beginning. Over time, this becomes more and more important because Git.com essentially is a tool used by developers to actually save their work, their code directly over here. And so once you build something like the AI workspace, like the one that I showed you before, the one that I have over here. Over here, as you can see, there are a lot of different files present over here. There's a lot of different documentation, a lot of different stuff. And so in this instance, it makes sense to use Git. Also, one thing that I need to mention, within the productivity suite, there are specific commands that you can use so that the Git process is somewhat automated. So to give you an example within there, what we have is we have something that is called a commit command, which would run a lot of different Git commands in some sort of automatic way. And then like, if you have an error, what happens is it will ask you, okay, we have this error. You can fix that by connecting your account, and it will give you the instructions on how to actually connect your account. But like, if you use this specific command, this commit command, it will actually send the stuff directly to GitHub for you. So that is, that is like a possibility also here.
Right, very cool. When people are using Claude Code, they often use it for stuff like this, or they try to use it for stuff like this. And then sometimes when they want to run stuff like you were saying overnight and build something more like an autonomous system or an app or a mini dashboard or something along those lines, how does that fit into this workspace that you've just described? Is it a separate workspace that you need to build? Is it a subsection? And then would you have any advice for people that are building these kind of simple internal tools?
So I would say it really depends on your business, and it really depends on what your focus is. So I think if you were to think about having internal tools and they fit within your current system, it could make sense to have those directly within a single workspace, because like you wouldn't have any problems. And so to give you an example, for myself, what I have is I have within my workspace, I have different projects. And so over here, I have a, do you still see the screen, right? So
Yeah.
over here, for example, I have a command center, and the command center is actually a web app that contains all the different information. But I also have something like a presentation builder over here that would build the presentation. And this is like a web app that you can add over here. But yeah, like I think that the best approach is at the beginning, you stick with one single workspace, especially when especially if you have something like delivery wise or content wise. Like for service-based business, I think delivery and content could be merged together, especially at the beginning. And then like once you start to outgrow your system over time, you can add one additional workspace for just content, for example, or just delivery. So for myself, I have this one, which is like my general one. And then I have like a content workspace with the full content pipeline. I have a system that would build automations. And then I have emotion graphic systems, and then another one and then the presentation builder one. So yeah, it comes in like at the beginning, I think it's better to start with one, and then at a certain point you will see a lot of different folders, a lot of different stuff. So probably it would make sense to organize that.
Okay, very cool. And then for building stuff that run externally without you having to run a command. So for example, when they run via cron jobs or via webhooks or whatever else, do you want to talk about how to build that, or is that kind of a longer topic, not worth touching on at the minute?
So I will give you like a very general understanding of that. This is like, yeah, so long story short, is generally a longer topic. I think that the way you would do that is you either, like, for example, what I do myself is I either use Claude Code to build anytime workflows. And so like I would use anytime for any kind of like automation focused process where we have simple steps or simple steps of automations. So like that is one tool that can be used. Another tool which can be used over here is called trigger.dev. So this is like a full coding tool. So essentially this is just running on coding. And let me show you the tool itself.
And do you still hear me?
It's a lot quieter. I can see your screen though.
Wait. I need to do a last minute change over here.
Are you guys finding this helpful so far? Drop something in the comments or say it out loud. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, fantastic.
Okay, yeah. So like this is the tool that I was mentioning here. It's essentially another automation tool similar to n8n, but this kind of tool only uses code. And so so like it's a different kind of thing. But obviously, if you have a specific automations that you want to run, you can explain what you have and the system will actually take care of the building for you. So generally, most of the time, there will not be problems in the building itself. The main focus when you're working with something like Claude Code and when you're working with any kind of tool like that is you need to spend a lot of time on the planning because because like right now the building side of things can be achieved pretty easily. Everything can be built, but on the flip side, what you could have is you could have something built that is not what you wanted, and so that is where it's important to actually take the time to plan out a specific things that you want to build, specify how you want to build that, and that will help you actually create the final result and the final and the final thing that you want specifically to what you have. And then obviously like there is iteration. So once you try a skill and it doesn't give you the results that you are looking for, you can improve that over time, and you can say, okay, those are the results that I got. I don't think those are helpful. We need to do some changes, explain the changes like you would do as a feedback session to an employee.
Okay, amazing. For bigger or more conceptual tasks where it's not a single skill, it's like a series of skills. One example of this is copywriting. I built an n8n system a while ago, where it's got like a lot of documentation about strategy and then copywriting and so on and so forth. And a lot of it is like these axioms and these definitions to kind of help it think better and then think through processes and kind of come up with stuff. How would one build that into these AI workspaces? Is it just a series of MD files? Is it one big one? Is it a series of skills? Like, how would you think about that, where it's not just one, like do X, Y, and Z? It's a bit more kind of hypothetical or conceptual.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. Let me open another workspace over here so that you could have a little bit of an understanding of this. So do you see the screen right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an example of another workspace for me. This is what I use to build and deploy automations for clients. And so the way it actually works is this is a set of skills that is focused on specific processes, one after the other. So generally, like when like automations, for example, are built, first off, the focus is on building the specs, which means like the plan for the actual automation itself. So that is the idea over here. And for that, we have something that is a spec generation skill, spec creation skill. So that is like the first part. And then like after that, we create the automation itself. We have a building skill, which focuses on creating the automation based on the specific tools that are actually used. So that is like another automation. And then you will have like a validation skill, which is a skill related to testing the system itself and testing that both on the coding aspect as well as the like graphical interface or any other things like that. And then finally, there is a deploy skill, for example, in this case, which is something that pushes the automation either to like an n8n or railway or
GitHub, any kind of tool that you would use. So yeah, so that is that is the way it actually would work here. And yeah, like you can think about, like, if you have a process in mind for you, you can think about that process. If that is like a big process, you can chunk it down into specific components, into specific components of that process. So, like, for example, for me, when I need to work on a spec for a client, a spec is like a specification document. I have something that is able to get the API documents for the client and actually add those to my system itself. So, like, this is like one part of the process. And one part of the process, which is like a discovery part, which is like if I have specific questions about a process or about like how specific APIs might work, like this takes care of that. If I need to build a basis of an API, such as like a Smart Lead API or a Airtable API, so that I can reuse that over time, I would have something like a API boilerplate. So yeah, you can like the beauty about this thing is that you can expand that or compress that based on your specific processes, based on the specific things that you need to do for you. But yeah, it all comes down to understanding your specific process and understanding whether that is a big one or a small one, and then like based on that you can build a skill related to that specific thing.
Okay, amazing. Now, just before we open it up for questions that anybody else might have, if anybody has any questions, where can people connect with you, Riccardo? And what is it that you actually help people with?
So if people want to connect with me, they can connect me either through LinkedIn or if I do a lot of content through YouTube, specifically on this topic itself. So building out AI workspaces and understanding how you can actually use Claude Code for business use cases. So that is like that is like the two ways. Right now, a lot of my focus is specifically on how you can actually build this system and how you can actually enable teams, specifically service-based business, on how to use systems like this. So that is like a lot of the focus that we do right now, together with the different automations and the different elements that you can add on top of the system to actually make this the single interface that you would have to run your business, where you can potentially outsource pretty much every single process within your business. Because as long as you have an understanding of the process, is when you can actually build a process as a set of skills or as a set of commands, and then delegate that to the agent. So yeah, that's pretty much that.
Okay, cool. And then if there's anybody in here who wants to work with you in a paid capacity, can they do that, or do you have a very specific ICP?
So yeah, for me, I generally work with service-based business, ideally like between 3 to 20 employees. We help them in the build out. Or another thing that I started to do right now specifically is the how to actually build this live together. So we have like different sessions where we run through and build this together with them and help them understand how they can start to think about these systems more specifically for their own specific business case.
Okay, fantastic. And then all of the resources that you said would be available. Can you send them to me and I can send them in the group, or how do you want to share that with everyone?
Yeah. I will send you over the if you want, I can send this over via chat right now, and I can also send those over in the group itself if you really wanted to, and I can also send those over to you. So those are
if you send it in the chat and then to me personally on WhatsApp, and I can share it with everyone in the group then.
Okay, perfect. I will do that then.
Okay, and in the meantime, does anybody else have any questions for this legend right here? Anybody at all? we'll wrap it up after that if nobody else has any questions.
No, I have no question.
No?
Nope. It's all clear.
You just did such a good presentation that nobody has any questions. That's fantastic.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, or
okay,
everybody
cool. I think we can wrap it up. Really, really appreciate you hopping on, Riccardo. Yeah, I'll wait a minute until you can send that into the chat
Okay.
before we wrap it up.
Yeah, let me send this over.
I'll stop recording. Or actually, no.
Riccardo, where are you based?
I'm based in Italy,
Where?
northeast, like Venice.
Okay. I'm in Milan.
Okay. Yeah, used to live there a while back, like 4 years ago. And then I will also send over this presentation as well. So, okay. Here it is. Just send this over. We'll also send those over on WhatsApp to you. And yeah, other than that, feel free to reach out on either on WhatsApp if you have additional questions or on LinkedIn. Happy to answer to you. And yeah, let me know. Bye, man.